Hey, hey, good people. It is Jody of Fervor Voice. Yeah, it's October 9th. I'm walk again, and it's a little chilly. It is a little chilly. You might, I don't know, you might get some breaks in my voice here because breathing even feels different when it's chilly. But anyway, we're still gonna get this work done here. We are going to talk about my last episode, the previous episode that I did, let it go, let go, let them go. Yeah, all that. I need to go back over some things. Not necessarily go back over some things as much as correct some things. I think it's important always to reflect on things that you do, things that you say, things that you've experienced. And I think that episode is one that deserves some reflection. There's some things that I need to discuss about that and some clarity that needs to happen around that episode. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And sometimes you got to call yourself out. And that's what I need to do. Then we'll do the work on the current episode that I want to talk about today. So let's get started. Let's do that work, y'all. Hey, y'all, so it's time. It's time for that reflection. And sometimes you got to call yourself out. So I'm calling myself out on this episode, this particular part of the episode. I need to do that because reflection is important. The last episode that I did, let it go, let that go, let it go. After I listened to it, I kind of felt that it was coming from a place of just kind of lack. I don't know. But what I do know is after I listened to it, I said, now some of that stuff really wasn't clear. It just kind of felt like I just said some things and said, all right, y'all, that's it. And I need to clarify some things. First thing I wanted to clarify is what I said in the very beginning, where I said, I'm not giving you advice, or, in a way, yes, it is advice. It absolutely is. Because I'm sharing it with you in hopes that you'll think about that, give it some thought, and use your own discernment and say, you know what, that is true. That does align with me. So if it aligns with you, it's for you. That's good advice for you. So yes, I think it's okay to say, yeah, that is advice, because it is. I shouldn't feel cagey about saying that. It is advice. If you feel that it resonates and it aligns with you, yeah, go for that. The next thing that I wanted to clear up or talk about is just I can let go of anybody. I didn't like that. So the way that came out, it wasn't really right. And I need to clarify that. Letting go of friends, family members, those that you have found yourself kind of intertwined with over the years, that's a serious thing. And it has to be considered in many ways. It has to be considered in a way that is not just flippant. And I kind of felt like my tone was a little flippant. I wanted to always be thoughtful. I wanted to always have meaning. And I didn't feel like the way I said it conveyed that. So in letting go of those that you feel, as I said, don't serve you, I wasn't careful about using that word either, because it's not necessarily those that serve you, because serving is a little bit selfish to use in that context. Reciprocating. That's what should have been said, not whether or not it serves, but whether or not it's reciprocated. Sometimes when we get into explaining and saying things and we just say it and it's like, yep, that's where I am, that's it, boom. And that's true some of the time. What's also true is that when you're in a certain place, a certain mindset, a certain energy, a certain feeling, when you come out of that and you find yourself in a more positive energy, you know that something wasn't right. And it's okay to not be right. We're not perfect. We're not going to be right all the time. It's not okay not to correct it. It's not okay not to acknowledge that, wait a minute, I think I went too far on that. Or wait a minute, I think I need to clear that because that's not even sitting right with me. So that's what I needed to get out about that particular episode. Just that I have my topic and I speak about it. At times I may use bullet points, because I have to make sure that I hit each point. But I'm not going to read what it is that I'm trying to say. I don't rehearse like that because that's kind of not coming from your true thoughts, your true heart, So I don't really do that. So that could be a little costly at times. That's okay. This is also my experience, which means that sometimes it's messy, which means that sometimes it's going to require a little bit of cleanup, a little bit of clarity. So, hey, that's it. Got it out. I believe that's all that I needed to focus on. If I come up with something else, yeah. If there's something else that I feel like I don't like, yeah, I'll come back and I'll correct that. Anyway, sometimes you got to call yourself out. Yeah, that is very important, and it's very important to acknowledge that, hey, that really wasn't what I wanted. That really wasn't what I wanted to say. Acknowledge that and keep going. What I want to talk about today is kind of a spin-off from that let that go kind of, because I feel like some things happen and some things are brought to us, some things are said to us that we kind of let go of and just kind of, well, I'm not going to worry about that. So I had an experience not too long ago, and I love to share my own stories because this is my stuff. I don't want to, base any of my episodes on somebody else's experience. I want to base them on mine. So I have become much more of an isolated person the past year. So I had a situation where I needed to be clear and just say, I can't be who you want me to be. This other person responds back, rant, went in. You wonder why you don't have many relationships. You wonder why. I didn't take that to heart because I don't wonder why. But the relationship piece or the relationship part, I think that can be considered. Why? Because I feel like it's like a nugget of truth in most of what is being said. Most of the time. Sure, there are some times where things are people can just say things just to destroy you, tear you down. Sure, that happens. But sometimes, and I would say most of the time, I'm not even going to say some, most of the time, there's something in there that needs to be acknowledged. May not need to be focused on, but acknowledged. And I think the thing that I would like to acknowledge is that someone made a comment about my relationships, and you wonder why you don't have many relationships. Let me just say I don't wonder why. Let me just say that I know exactly why. I know exactly why. And let me also say that I don't think I'm at a loss for relationships. And I know I'm not. Because when my son passed, I didn't have to lift a finger if I didn't want to. There were things that I did just because I felt I was obligated to do. I'm his mom. I have to do it. When I tell you, the people that surrounded me and the people that held on to me were immense, I'm not exaggerating. This is not to say to this other individual that you don't know what you're talking about. It's not that. But it is to say that relationships, whether you have many or you have few, that does not equate to the individual that you are. It does not equate to who you are. It does not equate to success. But it does say that someone, at least that person, uses that number to gauge who they are. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's not me. And I know that relationships can be important to some people, and they are important, but they can't be looked at as your level of success or your level of happiness. I have a very small family, a family of 3. That small family of 3 is my focus at all times. Outside of that family, it's vast. It's very large. Those are also relationships, but they're relationships in a different way. The friends that I have, I can call upon, and I know that they will be there for me. But I also know that I do not look to build new friendships. Why is that? Because I'm working on myself. I got too much of myself to work on. And as time goes on, organically relationships will come about. Organically, more friendships will come about. But right now, I got me to work on. And I want anybody and everybody to know, anybody that's listening, if you don't have this huge, large network of people or friends, or if you don't have this large network of relationships, as this other one told me, if you don't have this large network of relationships, that's okay. Because that gives you all the time you need to work on yourself. On the flip side, building relationships is really a good thing. That has to be worked on. So I will say that is going to be something that I'm going to start working on, is relationship building. Now, relationship building in different ways. Relationship building to build my business. Relationship building to find out how to do new things, different things that I didn't know about. Listen, sometimes you got to call yourself out. I still have not fixed my website. When I tell you, I talked about fixing my website in April. I'm about to come on a year. I've been running from that website. Why have I not done it? Well, because it's a monster. And the last time I worked on that website, I remember I almost snapped the last time I worked on that website. And once I got it decent, I put it down and I said, I'm not going to worry about it anymore. But there are individuals right under my nose that I could have built relationships with. And that website could have been everything that I wanted it to be, and it's not. And the reason that it's not is because I've been running from it. I've been running from it, and I could have built relationships around those who could have helped me with it. I could have, but I didn't. Is this a friend relationship? No. But it is a business relationship. So I take that information that person gave me, where she was, on a rant, no problem. I take that information that person gave me and I make it valuable to me. Because that relationship piece is valuable. I'm not the only one that can give someone advice. I'm not the only one that can say what's right or wrong. If I can give it, I should be able to receive it, right? So I'm receiving that message about relationships that person told me about. Not in the context that she delivered it, but in the context that I needed. Because that is something that I need to work on. That's something that's going to benefit me. Anyone that gives you their 2 cents, tells you what they think about you, you may not agree with it. You may not like it. But consider it. Consider it why? Because sometimes you need to call yourself out. Sometimes you need to call yourself out. There is nothing wrong with it. That's how you grow. It's also how you learn to accept criticism. It's important. If you got to be able to make moves, you got to be able to make turns. Got to be able to make decisions you never thought you would ever make. But you can't do it if you can't accept that criticism or accept what someone may have said to you that you didn't like. My daughter and I were having this conversation yesterday, and I said, "No, I think you should be able to take that and kind of work that. I think it'll work to your benefit." "No, Mom, no. Let me tell you why." And after we broke it down, yeah, sometimes you got to call yourself out. That's a talent, being able to call yourself out. It's one thing when you can laugh at yourself, little things that you do or whatever, but can you call yourself out? Work on that. Being able to call yourself out and make yourself better because of it. I don't like calling myself out. I don't like being the butt of the joke. But I do know there's a kernel of truth in there. If you can take that criticism at work, at home, wherever, in different circles, relationships, whatever, if you can take that criticism and use it to your benefit, that's more building than I could ever help you with. More building than any therapist could ever help you with, because you did it on your own. So let's let it stay right there. Let that be your assignment. But sometimes you got to call yourself out. And when you call yourself out, it don't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be brutal. But it does need to be honest, and it does need to be focused. See if you can do it. Let me know. Email me. Tell me how it worked out. I'd like to shout you out myself if you can call yourself out. We'll see. That's all I have for you today, friends. We'll see when the next episode rolls. And I'll make sure that I pay close attention to my energy and my mood, and make sure that my mood is in a great place and not be so concerned with, it's been a while since I put out a podcast. See you soon. Bye. Hey, it's time for the recap. All right, so this is episode 24. Sometimes you got to call yourself out if you want to grow, you want to be effective. So in this episode, I started off talking about how it was important for me to go ahead and reflect back on the episode that I had just done. That was to let it go, let them go, let that go, all that other good stuff. And I just ran through pretty much what I was feeling. Hey, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but you should be able to call yourself out about it. And it should be clear that, yeah, that was something that I don't really subscribe to, so I need to fix that. And that's what that was at the very beginning, the reflection and calling myself out about some things. Because, yeah, sometimes you got to call yourself out. Either I'm learning or I'm winning, one of the two. So that isolation that I had, there were some pros and cons to it, and I discussed that. The next point I want to talk about, or the next thing that I want to focus on, is that phone. It wasn't a phone call, it was actually a text. It was a communication from a friend where, they really went in because I just wasn't willing to be who they wanted me to be. And I said that, I expressed that, and it was just like, I get this rant right back immediately after. You wonder why you don't have relationships. Attacks don't work with me. They don't work. And it's not that it creates this big explosion, because it doesn't. I don't have time to argue with anybody about how I feel. They just don't work. And this didn't work either. Relationships in terms of numbers, which is how she was relating it. You don't have relationships. I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to, explain how my relationships in my life exist, or what they mean to me, what they should be. I don't need to go through all that. But when you make a statement like that, that's really an attack, because you really don't know what's in a person's life. And I did discuss, hey, maybe you don't think I have what I have. Maybe you don't, but that's all good.
I know what I have because I saw it with my own two eyes and I felt it in my heart. So I know what I have. But what I did realize was the fact that this person actually equates relationships in terms of numbers, which to me has to do with a social media mindset, has to do with likes, has to do with, that is a totally different mindset altogether. So there's a totally different conversation or communication going on at one time. I look at relationships one way, she looks at them another way. So relationships in terms of numbers, that social media mindset, that ain't even me. So I don't even need to entertain that. So some don't even understand or accept your direction. Some will not, and that's okay. Let them say whatever it is they're going to say. Let them have their tantrum. Let them have that, which is exactly what I did. If you're going to tantrum on me, I'm going to let you go on and have that. It's all good. On the flip side, though, there was something I was supposed to get out of that. And I feel like that key word was relationships. That was the nugget that I found in that rant, in that attack. It was the relationships piece. And I thought to myself, what am I supposed to get out of this? I'm supposed to get something. And what is that? Out of relationships. Because I'm not seeking or looking for a new group. I'm not seeking that. Not at this point. I'm just not. And then I said, oh, okay. For me, that would be a business relationship. I'm just saying, me personally. Your relationship should align with whatever path you're on. And right now, I'm on a building my business path, which does not have anything to do with what she was trying to get. It's got nothing to do with it. I'm not even on that. That's not even a thing for me. But the business part is. The building of the relationships that align with my path happens to be a business relationship. For me, that's the way I break it down. That's how I come to that. So criticism can actually help. The criticism that she gave me, it actually helped me. I gotta say thank you for that. I've got to say thank you for that because I really wasn't thinking in those terms. And hey, I had to call myself out. So at the end of the day, summing it all up, this was about calling myself out. You gotta call yourself out. So I called myself out on what I wasn't comfortable with my previous podcast. Also called myself out on not building relationships. Am I talking about the relationships you sit on the phone or text back to him? No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about these business relationships because I got something to do. I have a goal. I have things that I want to accomplish. It happens by building relationships. I also talked about my website that I parked, that I could have had so much more done on. And I didn't do anything with it. I was running from it. No more running. No more running. The task is to build relationships for me. That's what my assignment is. Now, maybe your assignment is not to build relationships. I don't know what the assignment is. But think about the last heavy hit of criticism that you got. What was it? Because everybody is criticized in some way, shape, or form. I don't care if it's work, personal, relationships, friendship, family, whatever. What's the last bit of criticism that you got? Heavy criticism. There's a nugget in there somewhere. Find it and work on it. That was the assignment, and that's the recap for episode number 24. That's all I got. Before we even go to the dedication, that just, spoiler, this episode is not dedicated to that person that went on that rant, because you don't get your name mentioned on my podcast by acting the damn fool. That's not a thing, never was, and it never will be.
Hey, good people, I am back so that I can do this dedication. I want this dedication to go to someone that sends me that good morning message, that good morning prayer. Every time I wake up, it's already sitting there waiting on me, or it's on its way. It's always a little emoji with a coffee mug and something inspirational for me. And that person is my mother-in-law. Ann Maynard, the head of the clan. I have to say thank you, because those messages that you send every morning, they do get me going. And just yesterday, that message that was sent said to be someone's rainbow. And I sent her a response back and said, am I going to find gold at the end of the rainbow? Yeah, that's that nugget. That's that nugget I was talking about in my episode today. And she responded back and said, hopefully, find it. Find it. So this is dedicated to my mother-in-law. I need to say thank you. I need to say I love you. I need to say I appreciate you. Because that family that you created, that huge clan, all of them, I'm thinking about every single one of them and how they show up, how they support, how they love. I appreciate it. You'll never, ever know how much I love you.